Hello folks, so hopefully you can hear me well. I'm here in the Lithography Bay, and right here I have the alignment machine for looking at this. And on the alignment machine we're able to move these microscopes. And the microscope is able to see this design right here. So that design that we're seeing is what is actually on the chip. So I'm going to show you the chip here real quick. Right here's the chip. It's plated with the gold, about 200 nanometers of gold, and currently another 200 nanometers of silicon dioxide, and then also another layer of chromium. Not chromium. Yes, chromium. So here on the chip, if you look at the four corners, you'll be able to see these tiny squares on the surface. You should be able to see the tiny squares. See it at the corners there? If you reflect the light there, you can see those tiny squares. So those tiny squares that you can see on here after the development of the chip is what we're seeing here on the screen. So now I'm going to show you what it looks like on the other part of the chip, which is the microcoil itself. Okay, so here I'm going to show you the coil. Here we go. Watch this. There's the coil. So I set a reference here on for the coordinates on the machine. And so when I set the reference, I can scan back and forth between the coordinates that I made the machine to remember here by pressing a few buttons. So when I scan back, it's going to take me to the area where the coil is. So if we scan around a bit, we should be able to see the rest of the coils. So altogether, there are about anywhere between 36 different coils, individual coils, and each is grounded to the bottom of the chip. The seed layer, the bottom layer of the chip, is the chromium and the gold. So it's very cool chip. Okay, so later you'll be able to see these coils right here, and after I do the exposure to the argon ion mill, the argon ion beams, so it's going to fire onto the chip, and then it's going to etch away part of the surface in order to reveal the silicon dioxide layer. And then after that, I'm going to do another alignment process here and expose the light here. So right now the chip is ready for exposure. So I'm going to press the exposure button, and you'll be able to see the microscope move here. And now it's going to expose the ultraviolet light onto the chip for about 5 seconds. And then it's going to release the chip. It's going to come off the stage here, and then the microscope's going to come back down, and then we'll be able to look at the chip. So here's the chip. Okay, there you go. I conveniently placed the wafer here, this bare silicon wafer, the dummy wafer, and I made some marks. I drew some marker areas right here on the wafer in order to give a general guide to where the chip should be in reference to the actual mask. So now we should be able to remove the wafer with the chip on it, and then now we can do the development of the chip. So we need to expose this chip to an acid which we call AZ340. The AZ340 or the AZ series are developing. So here we have a chemical. I prepared a chemical solution here. It consists of this AZ series acid, and it's mixed with it's diluted with some water here. And so when we place the chip into here, it's going to show those small squares which I showed you with the previous chip, which was already developed. So it's going to look like this. Okay, so if we look at the chip right now, it's not going to show any features. You're not going to be able to see those small squares just yet. So I'm going to dip it into this solution right here, this acid solution, and then we'll be able to see those small squares. So give me a moment. Okay, so right now the chip is inside the solution, and I'm going to do this for about another 15 seconds, and you can see already that there are some discolorations coming off the chip, and we'll be able to put it in some water here. Okay, so here's the chip once more. I cleaned the chip with the water, the deionized water, H2O. You want to sound fancy, but you should be able to see the tiny squares. Hold on, let me get the right angle of the light here to show you the tiny squares. So let's go right about here. So you can okay, right there, you can see those tiny little squares at the four corners of the chip. So there you go. Maybe if I come over here, you should be able to see that. Sorry about the exposure there. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. Just keep looking. You'll see it at the four corners. Right there and right there. Okay, let me show you on the microscope. That will be a lot more easier. There we go. Okay, that is everything I wanted to show you for today. And just for bonus footage, here's another chip with some microscopic ribbon features. So you can see all the colors on this one. It makes all the diffractions. Okay, so thanks for watching. And I'll have more to show you here pretty soon. Cheerio.